edition of Innovation Unedited. I'm your host, Sasha Whitaker, and I'm a student at Macaulay Honors College at City College. We're coming to you today from the lovely green room of WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. This is City College on-campus radio station. With us today are all of the honors students in Macaulay Seminar 3, Science and Technology in New York City, led by Professor Angela Lampoussis with our Informational Technology Fellow, Aaron Kendall. We continue our discussion today on the various recipients of Nobel Prizes, and we continue with yet another honors student who has been researching the biography and important scientific breakthroughs of yet another Nobel Prize winner. It's my pleasure. So if you would, Bethany, could you please introduce the person you...
My Nobel Prize winner is Rosalyn Yalow. She is a medical physicist and won the 1977 Nobel Prize for Medicine. She was born in 1921 here in New York to two parents that didn't have any education in high school. Her mother came from Germany and her father was born here. But from a very young age, she was super studious, and she was reading, and if you think of Matilda in that way, that she would go to the library with her brother and get books every week, that's how committed she was to learning. So she was also very determined, and her mother once said that had she not chosen such a good path and such an educational path, it would have been impossible for someone to deter her from pursuing anything else. So it was very fortunate for everyone that she chose to go into mathematics. She was very interested in that in middle school, and then high school she had this great chemistry teacher, so that influenced her to do chemistry. But then when she started looking at colleges and more into that, physics started coming into her life, and that's what she ended up pursuing.
And yet she didn't do all of this on her own, I'm sure.
Mm-mm.
Could you speak a little bit about the collaborations with other scientists and researchers?
Right. Through her educational process, a lot of the way she moved up in her field was through just being this great determined student, and despite like a professor, she got an A- in a lab once, and a professor used that and said, well, I mean, a man wouldn't get anything less than that. So this determination she even had as a child pushed her through, but once she graduated and she went off to do some work, scientists would like pick up on this characteristic of hers.
This
and
determination, this persistence,
right.
this drive. Yeah.
And they got her spots a certain way, and she ended up at the Bronx Veterans and Administration Hospital, and there she started doing research with the radioaminoacids, in which she eventually would get recognition for. And this is where she met Denison, right, her partner, and for 22 years they worked together. Solomon Burson, excuse me. And that began an incredible collaboration that he worked with her up until the day he died, and they became extremely close.
And so together they put together the most famous research experiments and discoveries. And
right, with the radioaminoacids.
Research experiments and discoveries. And
right, with the radioaminoacids.
So even though she really had a strong interest in physics to begin with, she ultimately drew this into medicine.
Right.
So could you speak a little bit more about the specifics of her research and what her contributions were?
Well, when she started working at that hospital, she became interested in the medical physics. So when Burson came to work there, they started collaborating on this project, and it was about tracking these, well, to put it simply, very small particles in blood and other aqueous fluids. So it has been used now to, like, they were tracking insulin in diabetes patients. Now it's used often in blood banks to quickly figure out if blood has hepatitis in it. It can detect cancers early on, looking for things like that. And before that, it was impossible to do certain things like that. So a lot of people believe that her research spearheaded this movement, and without it, you couldn't do a lot of these incredible things. So, yeah. That's how I
Very interesting that somebody could move starting from physics and then apply that knowledge to a different field in medicine, which ultimately I'm sure helped cure a lot of people, save a lot of people's lives.
Right, and she attributes that greatly to Solomon Burson, because he was very professional. He had all these connections, and she was really trained under his in his laboratory. So later on in her life, when she opened up her own lab, she maintained this philosophy, and her lab is all about collaboration and working with the young, and everyone who moved out of her lab is very distinguished in their professional careers because of this incredibly enriching environment.
So she had such a great mentor, and then she herself became another mentor. A very interesting story and a very inspiring character. Thank you so much, Bethany. You have been listening to Innovation Unedited. We are here with Bethany Herman, who has been researching Rosalyn Yalow, the recipient of the 1977 Nobel Prize in Medicine. I'm your host, Sasha Whitaker, a student at Macaulay Honors College. Thank you for listening.